I'm Carey Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Carey Stinson, and this is Purple Roads. Welcome to Purple Roads. My name is Carey Stinson, and we're doing a very special episode this week. It's a tribute to Phyllis Cicero. Phyllis, as all you Barney fans know, played Stella the Storyteller. She was such a larger-than-life person who touched and inspired so many people. She came on episode 7 of Purple Roads and took over the studio with so much laughter and really touched all our hearts. So we're going to show some clips. We've got some special people that want to say some wonderful things about Phyllis. And we have some audio that has never been heard before. So enjoy this special lady. So one of the things I talk about on this show is I am a very proud Texan. Yeah. I was actually born in Washington, D.C., but I moved here when I was 10 years old.
Fast as you could.
As fast as I could get here, and fell in love. My father and my mother really showed me this state, and I really embraced it. I am so proud that Barney was started here and lived here.
Absolutely.
And I've got a Texan here as well from Tyler, Texas.
Tyler, Texas, born and raised. Yes, I'm an East Texas girl and a proud Texan. 6 years in New York didn't breed it out of me. Yes, and that is part of the Barney legacy that stands bright, is that, wow, this was done here. The quality of the workmanship, the amazing talent that was also farmed here, and it was just stunning. And it did feel like, okay, we are opening up this third coast. We are here, and this show is fantastic and touching so many people. But the fact that it was born and bred here resonated.
Couldn't do this episode without Derek Kaufman. Derek was the producer on this episode and has worked with Purple Roads for a long time. And, we had such a special day with Phyllis. Derek, I had to bring you on to talk about it because we're going to play a little footage here at the end of this episode. Some things that no one's ever heard before while we were setting everything up. And she really took over the studio that day.
Yeah, she really did. Well, first of all, Carey, obviously, thanks for having me on. And you're completely right. Phyllis came in, and I had no idea who she was other than the character on the TV show, obviously. And growing up as a 90s kid, Barney was an instrumental part in my life. My mom always jokes and tells me whenever I heard the theme song come on, I would come scuttling and running in from another room. So getting to meet her in person was amazing. But just like you said, yeah, it was one of those things where we all walked into the studio. I think you and I were still kind of new with working with each other. So yes, we were still kind of trying to figure out the production aspect of things and making sure that we were kind of coming in with our best foot forward. And like you said, she walked in, and as I was kind of telling you on a phone call the other day, she had this kind of energy about her where she just took over the room. She felt, and I told you, she felt like a bonus grandma in my own life, where she comes in, she's laughing, we're having fun, and one of those where we went from strangers to best friends in maybe 15-30 seconds flat.
Yeah, it was so neat listening to it again and hearing you were setting her up, explaining the setup with the cameras and the mics and all of that stuff. And she was so professional. I mean, she's been doing this forever, and still she was listening to you on everything. And the two of you were joking back and forth, which we'll play some of this here. But it was such an amazing experience.
Yeah, and like you said, I'm sure she had probably done that 1,000 and 10,000 more times than I have in my life up to that point. But she was right in there and making me laugh, and probably taught me a couple things about my own studio that I didn't know at that point in time. So,
well, and then what was it like for you as we were recording the show, getting to listen? You're hearing some of these stories.
I thought that was probably one of the coolest moments we had on that show. Or the show is obviously still going, but from the time that I was kind of working with you on it, and getting used to the new format from moving away from Purple Tales, which we had previously done,
right.
and then having Phyllis come in, she seemed like one of those people that was just going to be very sweet and funny and kind of have those punchlines and pack a punch here and there. But what I really didn't kind of expect was she got very personal, very deep, and allowed you to kind of see her for who she really was, and wore her heart on her sleeve, at least in that hour and a half. So sitting behind the scenes and getting to produce it was interesting, because you don't normally see people come in and just be very comfortable in front of a bunch of cameras and lights in their face, even if they've done it a million times. So she just had this energy about her that you kind of held on to every word, and whether it was funny or really sad, it didn't really matter. She just kind of held all the spirit in the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I always talk about this, and I know you have, my goodness gracious, how many shows you've recorded, not just me, but with all the shows that you work on.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's the authenticity, right?
Right.
She was so larger than life, but it wasn't an act. It wasn't cheesy. It was real.
Right. Yeah. She wasn't coming to give us just a Stella the Storyteller and go through the motions, take a couple pictures, and get out of there. I've seen that multiple times with different people who honestly can do that, and no worries. That's kind of their personality.
Sure.
But kind of getting back to what I said to, she honestly felt like my own grandma. We walked in and we were just very personable and kind of learned about each other. And instead of just, like you said, having just an interview about the show and going through the motions, it was a lot deeper and just more sentimental than that. It was very, very much like sitting down at a dinner table and having dinner with an old friend that you haven't seen in a very, very long time. It was great.
Well, when we started this Purple Roads, we were, my goal was always, I wanted to be conversational.
Right.
But we're talking about a subject matter, even though this is an adult show, we're talking about the subject matter. And I feel like she was the one that kind of took it off. I felt like I didn't know where she was going to go the whole time. It was raw in a lot of aspects of it. It was so true. As you said, it was so emotional.
It was. It very much was. I want to say that at one point she had even shed like some happy tears, some sad tears, and I think we were right there along with her. I don't remember if we really had to stop during the recording per se, but it was just very real. And like you said, kind of provided that stepping stone to not only solidify what you and I were trying to do at the time, which was get into a new, more personable style where it's Carey and somebody else, and we're talking as if there's no cameras in the room. It's just a conversation, and you don't have to put a face on for it. It's not about a performance or making it the best you can be. It's about just having a real conversation and enjoying that person's company and learning about them and the experience they had in whatever industry or ride that they had done in their past.
Well, and at the end, we always take pictures and things, and you were doing them that day, and I was shocked how many we like. She was so gracious with her time.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the 20 minutes she gave us setting up, that we've got some from that, the show, which is an hour show, which is long for podcasts. And then she sat there and you took a ton of pictures with her.
Oh yeah.
Of her.
Yeah. And I come from one of those backgrounds where you take 1 or 5 pictures, and I'm sure you know this, Carey, kind of being in photography yourself, but you'll take 1 to 5. somebody will look at it and what you think is kind of the one or the best one, they immediately say, oh, like none of those were good, or I didn't like any of those. So I've gotten in the habit of just, I'll take somebody's phone and just snap. So it was very nice of her to kind of let me be intrusive and do my thing. Cause like we said a minute ago, it's not always easy when you sit there with a camera and lights in your face to not kind of put on a performance per se, but to then be raw and emotional and just give us your 100% self is something else. And having to sit there still while I take 150 pictures doesn't help that at all.
Well, Derek, I can't thank you enough for popping on here. It's been emotional with this. And I knew even when I talked to you about it, it was emotional because I knew she touched you that day. And I appreciate you coming on to share memories of that very special episode.
Absolutely. And thanks again, Carey, for having me on. I hope that anybody that sees this knows that she was a wonderful human being. And from the small time that I did get to spend with her, like you said, made a lasting impact on me in that 90 minutes. So thank you so much for having me. And I wish her and yourself and everyone that was affected by her passing just the best, because she was a great human being, and we'll miss her for sure.
I was at Disney World. And it was my first time to Disney World with a good friend, and we had, my son at that time was 2 or 3 years old, and my friend and her husband had brought, and I took at the time he was 12-year-old nephew. So we had a lot of kids. We were doing the Disney thing. We were doing all of, and they timeshare Disney people. They big time.
Right.
I mean, the apartment, their condo down there is bigger than my apartment here, and so I was in the best hands at Disney. And we had been around, we'd done Epcot, we'd taken a picture when we first walked in the park, and now the day was done and we were on our way out, and a lady approached me and she said, excuse me, I don't mean to bother you, but are you Stella the Storyteller on Barney? And I went, we're at Disney. How isn't that illegal? You're not supposed to be talking to PBS characters here. Oh, yes, I am. She said, I heard you earlier. She said, I've been stalking you all day. And I went, okay, now you didn't have to tell me that. She said, no, not really. But I heard your voice. And amazing. I knew it was you. And I just went, wow. And I was really and truly blown away. I said, here I am in Disney World. And here's somebody who says, I heard your voice. And that's the one who told me, I can put her in the rocker and I can go take a shower, and she's content and she is lulled and engaged by your stories. And I said, thank you. And thank you for stalking me. Thank you for letting me know that. I needed to know that my job is being done and that it's being received and appreciated. So thank you. But I still was going, hey, were you Disney? Ain't there something illegal? They're going to ask for some licensing rights or something?
Man, it's so good to see you, Jeff. Welcome. I know this is a tough time, but I really appreciate you being on. You worked with Phyllis for a while, and I know you've got some great memories of her. What was it like working with Phyllis?
Phyllis was just unbelievable. Phyllis was almost like Stella. When she entered the door, the light bulb came on, and Stella was Phyllis and Phyllis was Stella. Anytime we rehearsed, she was Stella, and that's Phyllis. And one of the things that I remember about Phyllis was she was always on the go. She was just like Stella the Storyteller. She's a ball of energy. I've got some things that happened before, with the props that she had to carry and the costumes that, the costume shop made for her.
Right.
Awesome and great. But sometimes she'd come through that door and they'd get caught there's several bloopers of her getting caught in the door. One of the things I remember is whoever was the set guys, the grips and stuff, they accidentally locked the door one time, and she was supposed to go through the door, and she got stuck, and she kept banging on the door, and she could never make it. So there's a good blooper out there. I don't know if anybody has it or not, but it's somebody locked the door on her. And there's another time on Once Upon a Time, and that's where Stella comes and tells stories, and she does, I guess it's uh, the three bears, Goldilocks, three bears. And Barney was a bear, Stella was a bear, and I was Baby Bear. Baby Bop was Baby Bear. And Sarah Hickman was, I think, the Goldilocks. And she was awesome. Then there's a story in that same video series that where I played Rapunzel, or Baby Bop played Rapunzel.
Right.
She's in her Baby Bop outfit, and they made these golden locks that it was almost like ropes, and they had her hanging out of a windowsill, and Stella comes up the windowsill, hanging onto my hair, and I believe Stella got stuck several times, and just a sense of humor of some of the outtakes that came out through that window when she couldn't get herself through that window. Plus she has her wardrobe on, and her having to climb through that window without her falling backwards. There's some good times there. But Phyllis herself was a gold mine. I mean, she was always bubbly, always in control of her, just her character. One of the things I remember is just her love. She just, her passion, her love for people. She was Stella.
Funny enough, believe it or not,
Sure.
I knew about the show. I
Sure.
had no kids. I was a young actress then, and I was running and burning and auditioning and doing everything. And I'd recently moved back from New York, so I was back in Dallas literally just about 2 or 3 years before the opportunity came. But I as I joke, I don't watch television. Television watches me.
Sure.
And I heard the song, I love you,
Yes.
you love me, we're a happy family. And I was in a grocery store and I heard a kid singing it an hour over.
Right.
And this is long before I knew anything about the show. It was just on and I went, how fabulous is that? And it was sort of rolling around in the roller decks. So when the call came in to do the audition for it, I went, oh, I know that show.
Right.
Oh, how cute is that? And of course, she was a new character, and they were still figuring out exactly how they wanted her to come in. And I thought, wow, how exciting, an opportunity to do this. So I guess coming in, I had a sense of how children were already accepting it and processing it. And when you hear this little voice one aisle over, going, I love you, you love me, just absent-mindedly repeating that phrase, I just thought, this is powerful.
Right.
This is powerful. Whatever. And then there were lottie-dottie, and everybody with a headshot came out to audition.
Yes.
So I went, ooh, okay. So I think coming in, Carey, I had a sense that, yeah, this touches kids. They get it.
Yes.
And I love you. You can't really go wrong saying I love you.
Right.
So I watched It's Time for Counting, in honor of her, with my 3-year-old. And I think it took on a whole new level of appreciation. Watching it with him, yes, but then also watching it while remembering her and what that experience was being on set with her. She had this glow, this light about her that would just, you wanted to know her, you wanted to just sit and listen to her. She was just a beautiful person inside and out. And even at 12 years old, you recognize these things, you gravitate towards those types of people. And that was exactly who she was. It was such a fun episode because, the whole premise of the video was Stella having this surprise that she wanted to give, or that she wanted to share with Barney and the kids. And she had this alarm clock that would go off right at the strike of 12. And she was missing the numbers. And without the numbers, the surprise wouldn't happen. So we had to help her get the numbers back. And once we did, the surprise was her dozen cousins and their baseball team. So seeing her just, I remember watching her in admiration as she would walk through this door, 12 times as a different type of character. And just, she was so much fun, so much fun. And I think that that's really the take, everyone's experience, the takeaway from everyone who's met her is that she was fun, she was loving, she was driven, passionate about what she did, and that was who she was. That was who she was.
I think in television, I am by craft and by trade, I am a theater craftsman. So really making sure that things were memorized,
Sure.
and then being able to change it, not committing, and having that flexibility to say, oh, okay, well, we're going to change this. Okay,
Sure.
now the yellow pages are out. Okay,
Right,
now the green page. Okay, well, now we
Right.
have pink pages.
Sure.
So I think that was my biggest challenge, not writing it in stone and being able to go with the flow.
Sure.
And that, I would say, after the first 3 or 4 episodes, I had the sense of, okay, this is what it is, and really knowing that everybody was working on it.
Right.
If there was a prop, I may not know what that prop is. I did one that was puppets. Well, I didn't know if they were going to be stick puppets. I didn't know if they were going to be hand puppets. I
Right.
didn't know if they were going to be sock puppets.
Right.
So in my work, creating my story and crafting that, I have to make sure that art department does what they do,
Sure.
and they're doing, and trust
Sure.
that when you finally realize, okay, it's going to look good. It's going
Right.
to be great. You're going to figure it out. It's no big deal. And know that they want the best product out there.
Right.
So that was a challenge.
Well, Jim, it's so great to see you, and I'm so glad you could be on today. I know Phyllis meant a lot to you, and you had a great working experience with her. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like working with Phyllis?
Well, Carey, she was just such a special, talented person. And one of the things I really remember most about her is how much the kids in the cast absolutely adored her. They just loved having her on the show. And it was so much fun because every time she came on, she was in a different costume from a different country, and there was a different language involved. And she was just spectacular as Stella. And I know Phyllis had a career in Dallas in theater, and she worked at KD and all of that. But to me, let me show you.
Oh my goodness.
I don't drag that out for anybody, but to me, she will always be Stella. When she came through that door, the kids just lit up, and it was a wonderful thing. Another thing I have noticed since her unfortunate passing is all of the response of adults from her teaching at KD, but of course, in my interest, all the kids who watched her as Stella, who are now adults and who making comments about her passing and what she meant to them, and I think it's a wonderful tribute to her that after all these years, these people literally come out of the woodwork and pass on stories about how much they loved Stella, and I just get chills talking about it. I really do. And I think it's a testament to what we did as a show and what she in particular contributed as a character on Barney. And I will say, we had many guests on the show. We had a lot of people, some recurring characters and stuff, but nobody stood out like Phyllis. Nobody stood out like Stella the Storyteller.
I was going to ask you that because when she was on Purple Roads, she mentioned that there was a lot of actors that auditioned for Stella. Why was she the perfect person for that role?
I don't remember the audition, to be honest with you. I will only say, thank God she was the one who was cast, because she was the perfect person for that role. She was just spectacular. And and so well loved, obviously, by not only us in the Barney family, but everyone who had an opportunity to view her as Stella and everything she brought to the show. Yeah, spectacular.
One of the things that had to, when you're standing next to a character that is that huge and green and purple,
right,
and you've got colors, and they wanted a character that was that, but not overbearing,
right,
to the point. So I think being an aunt, I understood you're dealing with other people's children, brothers and sisters for sure, but they're other people's children, and there's respect and boundaries that have to be respected. So I was very happy to bring that to the plate, that yes, I understand. I'm for a moment, these kids are in my care for a time, but I have to also take care of the parents. I have to take care of their values, what they are sending them with. It's not about, okay, away from mom and dad, and we're just going to do our thing.
right.
So I thank Dorothy and Samuel Cicero for instilling that in me, that respect for other people's children, other people's property, okay? They've invested in their kids, and it's not my job to come in and change it, but to enhance it and encourage it and nurture it.
This is so special to have you on, Christopher. We met at a photo shoot, and then found out that we had this this connection to Phyllis. You were one of her students of her voiceover classes. You're also an actor who did your first commercial with Phyllis.
Yes.
Hey, Christopher, talk to me about Phyllis.
Well, first off, I want to give condolences to her whole family. Any friend, any actor that has ever crossed her path, you have my heart and you have my condolences. I completely empathize with you in this moment. But Miss Cicero, I've never called her Phyllis. To me, she's Miss Cicero, or Mama Cicero, as she said, you can call her. She was just completely genuine, and that's the first word that comes to my mind when I think about her. She has a certain connection that allows you to feel comfortable. I went to KD College is where I met her at, and the very first time that I was in her voiceover class, I was extremely nervous because I've always been told that I have a baritone voice, and sometimes my words can come out very mumbly. And it took nothing but a warm hug from her to make me feel comfortable. So I was able to get into the booth. I was able to sight read what we had to do. And from that point on, I looked at voiceover in a totally different aspect. And that was all thanks to her, because I've never been exposed to anything like that before. And not only did she expose us to the basis of being inside of a voiceover booth, but she gave us real life. She gave us how to be able to take this knowledge and apply it to real life. And you wouldn't think that you'll be able to apply something like going into a voiceover booth to going into real life, but she was a teacher beyond a teacher. And when I say that, I mean she taught past the 9 to 5. She go and she went over and beyond for all of her students, and she made sure that we all felt that from her. And I can't thank her enough for that, because of that, I was able to get my first commercial. And this happened maybe about a month and a half after I graduated. I graduated class of 2015 in January. I got booked for an AT&T commercial. It was called The First Woman's Picture. Little did I know when I popped up on the set, first off, I'm sitting with the extras, not knowing I'm a new actor. I didn't know where I was supposed to go. I'm sitting with the extras, and then they're calling their names. I didn't hear my name get called. I'm getting nervous. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes and gets me and says, "You're supposed to be over here with the featured extras." And I'm like, what is a featured extra? You know, I'm just like, what is going on? I walk in the room, and it's Miss Phyllis sitting there looking like a boss. Just, I do this. I'm just here, honey, because, you know, this is my life. And I was just so elated to see her and so happy, because she made me feel so comfortable about being on set for the first time, and giving me the things to do to make myself aware of everything around me. And she didn't do what I hear most actresses would do and kind of not put me down, but she really lifted me up. And I just loved her for that. And I really, I wish I could have had a chance to thank her before this moment happened, because I know she was already dealing with a lot. And as we mentioned before, she was a fighter, and that's why I loved her so much, because she reminded me of my mother. My mom lost a battle to cancer, pancreatic cancer, and for her to have already gone through something so traumatic as in losing her child, she was a true fighter. She was a dedicated woman, and she is an all around beautiful human being. And I thank her so much for everything that she did for me, my classmates, everything she did for the KD family. We love you so much, and we can only pray that we can all heal from this as a family.
My son was born, and I realized how important it was to get that shower.
Right,
Okay,
right.
Because my child was in the swing,
Yeah.
and Barney loved him, and he used to pimp me out till about the 3rd grade, and then it was like Barney wasn't cool anymore.
Yeah.
But up until then, he'd go, "You want to meet my mom? She's on Barney," and they were like, "Dude, did you just pimp your mom out?" Okay, that's all right. And then about 3rd grade, it became Dragon Ball Z, and Mom, you need to do something cool like that. That's what I want to see you do now. And I went, okay, well, we'll work on it, son. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Because my sisters and all them, when they end up getting high school, and I'm doing they didn't want anyone to know. But then later, it's cool. It's cool early. It's cool later.
Yeah.
But in the middle, it's
they were like, no. And he said, Mom, because of course, they're memes now, but at the time they were always saying. Then some kids saying, "Let's hang Barney from a tree."
All that stuff. Sure.
Okay, and I say, "Here's your song." I love Barney. Barney loves me. He pays mommy's salary. Okay. So, dude, he said, "Oh, that's a good one, Mom." And I said, "Okay, yeah. It's not about what they think and they care." I said, "It's a good show. You did a good time. We had a great time." He's actually in one of the books. You may have taken. Yeah, he was.
I did almost all of them, if not all of them.
We did a Stella at the Library.
Oh, I did do that.
Yeah,
I absolutely remember doing that.
That's my son.
That
little one that's sitting down in one of the little ones. So I'm excited that he was in that one. I was like, oh,
wow,
yeah, that's him.
Hey, Josh, I'm so glad you're here. You're the one that brought Phyllis to Purple Roads. You worked with her for a long time, not only at Barney, but also at KD. And, I know she was very special in your life. Tell me about what it was like working with Phyllis.
Well, I mean, just like I'm sure everyone else has said, she was the kindest, her attitude was infectious. Always positive, smiling, laughing, joking, at the proper times too, the consummate professional. That was something else early on when I started. I was still a young buck doing the deal, and I paid attention to what Phyllis did when she was around, and it was a good thing, because she was a good one to take pointers from. And she was lovingly honest too, you know what I mean? If she didn't like something, if you were doing something that she didn't think was good, or she had an opinion of, she would tell you. Nice and straight, not rude or condescending or anything, just, this is how I feel, there it is. I loved it about her.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing when she came to the show, how generous she was with her time. And the rawness of it, the fact that there was nothing off limits, and that just seemed to be who she was.
Absolutely, yes. From the moment I met her, I met her on the set of Barney, and that was all professional, but then go to catering, and she was, joking, and, that personality came out, and, back to the set, on task, working. And, wow, she was awesome person to learn from. And, who knew, learning from her that early on, that we would continue to work together past that, not just with Barney, but, through KD and through the voiceover classes and things like that. She was always a great supporter, not just of the acting community, but of me as a person. So that was invaluable. Grateful for it.
Well, I'll always thank you for so many reasons, but bringing her to Purple Roads, and I'm so grateful and so thankful that she did that.
Yeah, I'm glad she got a chance to do that, because I didn't know half of the stories, that she said. I didn't know what she was going to say when she came on the show,
Yeah.
As I'm sure you didn't either. That's the deal, right? And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of Phyllis. She was raw, honest, but loving. You know what I mean? Yeah, from a good place, with a good heart.
Had you ever been on a kids show? Had you worked with kids before at this point in your career?
I'd never been on a kids show.
Okay.
No, and at that point, actually, no, not in depth. I mean, there may have been some workshops or a commercial here or there where we're with kids, but I'd always liked kids.
Sure.
And like I said, being the auntie and
Sure.
being the actress auntie, it's like, going out to Phil. And I would go, okay, you've never been on a plane? Okay, can I take him on a plane? We're going to fly. And that way, I'm a middle child, so I'm perfect for that. I'm peacemaker, soother, okay, rule breaker a little bit sometimes. Don't y'all do this at home. So I just think that I believe that when you get into a place of purpose, everything else falls into place. Yes. And that was my place of purpose, and I found that I was uniquely qualified to do that job. And I thank God that the producer saw the same thing that I saw. But yeah, I think my upbringing in Tyler, Texas, small town girl, but I had been to New York, so I had both ends. I've lived in New York for 6 years, so I understood the business and the business end of it. But I also understood the empathetic ends of it, of how, this is how we deal with kids and how precious they are. And,
right.
And I like them. I think if you want anybody to tell you the truth, ask a child or ask an old person. Okay, those are two people who don't sugarcoat it. They come right at you. If you're telling a story with old people, they will go, "That's boring, baby, and I don't like it." With children, they will look at you and go to sleep. Okay. So, I mean, you're going to get the unvarnished truth.
Right.
Unvarnished, and the kiddos have no filters, and I love it.
Well, Susanna, thank you so much for being here. I know you worked with Phyllis, and I know you had some special memories of her.
Yep. So I just wanted to say that my heart is with Phyllis's family and friends. And I met Phyllis, I think it was maybe only her second episode of Barney in season 3. It was a show about going grocery shopping and getting ready for a party. And she just burst in with this huge hat of fruit, all, like a foot above her head. And it was funny because even though she was so vibrant, during the actual filming in character as Stella, she was just as vibrant off camera too. She just had this total positive energy about her that I remember noticing even as a child. But also off camera, she had a real just kind of strength of spirit and personhood that you could just, you could see it, from across the room. So I feel really grateful to have worked with her. She was just one of those people who you just felt good being around. So I have such positive memories of her, and I'm just so sorry for her family and friends. She really, I think, left a legacy.
So it was a thrill for me when I got to work with you. I knew all about Stella. You know, I was traveling the road when that was happening.
I was shooting. Yeah, I was at home holding down the fort.
Yes, and we did that video that Jeff Giddle. Remember Jeff Giddle directed?
Yeah.
And they brought Stella back.
Yeah, you know, I told you I had to get a bigger skirt. I was so upset. And I was like, wait a minute, because you know Lisa perfectionist.
Yes,
everything.
Lisa Albertson.
Yes, and I was like, wow, Lisa Albertson. That girl was meticulous.
Yes.
And I put that skirt on and I went, no, well, we're gonna have to let it out. No, we're not. I'm going on a diet. But she was so meticulous, so fantastic in her research and her construction.
Mm-hmm.
I have never felt so well taken care of, wardrobe-wise and creative. And what are we going to do for this country? And how are we going to? Amazing. But yeah, you know, I remember that.
Patty, thank you so much for being here. Tell me what it was like to work with Phyllis.
She was a delight, Carey. Thank you for having me and giving me a chance to talk about her a little bit. What I remember most about Phyllis was just her big, beautiful presence. When she would come onto the set and when she would be on camera, she had so much energy and so much light and life that would come through. She was a delight on set. She was a delight, you know, just to hang out with. Such a great sense of humor. And I feel privileged to have known her and to have had her as part of our Barney family. She will be very missed.
You know, I talked to Bob about the fact that you and Julie and Bob are so quick. And Phyllis has a heck of she's pretty fast as well. What was it like to have someone that could go with you?
Well, you know, part of that I attribute, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And I know that Julie and Phyllis and I all have live theater backgrounds. She was a stage actress. And I have a lot of friends who have done live theater that knew Phyllis in that aspect. And went on about what a wonderful person she was to work with on stage too, and her creativity, you know, as well as just the quickness is a fun quality to have in a friend, and especially somebody that you can get a sense of play with on set or on stage. And she was really well respected and well loved among all the theater folk that I know in Dallas-Fort Worth too.
So we were talking a little bit about this before we started, but how about the dancing?
Lord Jesus. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I am not a dancer. And I know it was step, touch, turn around, wiggle your hands, but okay, I'm not a dancer. Okay, I'm one of them black people. I don't dance. Okay, I do dance, but I don't dance well. And I would frequently have the kids when we were down between takes going, okay, Miss Phyllis, and they love teaching me the dances. I thought, okay, we are cool. We are fine because Miss Penny was fantastic. The kids look great, but no, beyond step, touch, tap, turn around, Stella was not going to be getting down and turning it up, okay?
Bob, I'm so glad to have you here. I know it's a touching time, but I know Phyllis meant a lot to you, and I'm so glad you could be here. What was it like working with her?
It was a joy. I mean, you know, every time, I keep thinking about every time it was Stella Day when we were shooting, the kids would be so excited. Stella's going to be here today, you know, and the energy on the set was always up because that's what she brought to the show. She brought all this energy. She just had this boundless energy, and that was one of the things that made Phyllis great and made Stella great. You know, made Stella really unforgettable. She was hilarious, constantly cracking everybody up, the kids and the rest of the crew and the cast. And we had so many, I mean, there was just so many moments that were, that were crazy, and she would just ad lib. And there were times when the door would get stuck. You know, she made her entrance through this magical door, right?
Right.
and the door would get stuck, and we'd hear this, "I forgot my keys," or something like that. And there would be times when she was wearing a costume with, I think there were a couple of times she had a costume with a big skirt on it. And she would make this grand exit, and she'd close the door behind her, and her skirt would get caught in the door. And of course, our camera operators, being the great camera operators there were, would just zoom in on that and look at that. But it was like that. It was so much fun to work with her. She just brought so much joy and energy and light and fun to the show and to our lives. I mean, there are other it's so funny too. I remember, one of the things I remember is, we didn't spend a lot of time together on set because I was off in the booth.
Right.
But she and I tended to gravitate toward each other at lunch for some reason. And we'd go through the lunch line together. And I swear she could do like a half an hour stand-up, just improv on what was there available for the food for the day. I won't tell you some of the names she had for some of the dishes. Just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
It's so funny you say that, because I was going to go there with this, that, for you and Patty and Julie, and the fact that you all are so quick, and the improv aspect of it, having her being that way too just had to have been a joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always, when you're working with somebody who's like that, it always brings you up, it brings up your game, and it's so much fun and challenging. It's always great to have somebody like her come along too, when very often the episodes kind of they can be kind of the same day after day. Right. And to have some new factor come in and wake us all up and say, hey, this is, you got to pay attention now. Can't go back in that rut. She always helped lift us up in a lot of ways.
When she came to do the episode of Purple Roads, she blew everyone away. She walked in, took over the room, and such authenticity. She had to hug everyone. It was incredible. I presume she brought that energy when you work with her. Of just pure love.
She did. Yeah, she really did. It was so funny. It was like she had this wonderful dichotomy to her. She just had this joy and this warmth and that hugging thing. And she just loved to have contact with people. And then sometimes she had this really pointy sense of humor, but it was never pointed at people, individuals. She was never, mean to people or anything. She was just so great. She really was.
Do you have a good story that you can remember? A good Phyllis story?
Well, like I say, the stuff that happened on the set, and it's just the times that, I mean, there was one time that the door even fell over, and and she was, it was amazing that she wasn't behind it. I thought that, at one point we kind of thought that she was going to end up doing a Buster Keaton with that house that almost falls on him, and he ends up going through the window, but it was just like that all the time with her. You just never quite knew what was going to happen. If something, if the kids dropped the line, she would ad lib, or she would just ad lib something, and she just really kept us on our toes. She really did. And thank goodness for her. She just was, she really was full of light and love and energy, just that positive energy. Stella, she was the embodiment of Stella. She really was.
Well, thank you so much for popping in. And I know we talked the other night, and we were both hurting, and I didn't spend as much time as you did with her, but she made such an impression, I think, on everyone that met her.
Yeah, it's very true. I think that it really was a shock to hear of her passing, because she had apparently kept it very quiet right up until the end, and she was working right up until recently. And that's very Phyllis. Even as much as a scene stealer that she could be, for her to to not want to draw attention to herself in this kind of situation was, I think that was perfectly Phyllis.
And I got the call, and I was so glad the Reese kind of got us together. Because I just was, as I said, when you're in your place of purpose, it finds you. And thank you for this abundance. Thank you for this.
Well,
this was great.
You have brought so many Barney fans so much happiness to get to see
thank
you.
Thank you, guys. So excited. And thank you for taking a little time to visit with me, because I love you. You love me. We're a happy family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? I know you do.
The day that Phyllis came in, we were running audio as we were setting up the show. And Phyllis was so funny and so inspiring. So here are some clips that have never been heard before from pre-show of Purple Roads.
Will you say your last name for me again?
Cicero.
Cicero.
Here we go, Cicero, San Francisco. Don't you know? It's Cicero.
Cicero. Phyllis Cicero.
Yeah. Well, for the kiddos, they don't get it. It was funny. I met the kids for the first week for this round of Disney stuff. We'll be doing Aristocats. And so I'm meeting the kids, and my teaching artist partner, her name is Tiana. So, of course, they all went on that because that's the Frog Princess.
Sure.
And that was done. And I said, Miss Cicero. And so then I was testing them. And I said, okay, what's my name? And they all went, it's long. I said, what's her name? Miss Tiana. They got that right away. And so then I have to go into my Cicero rap. So then they got it, and then they know, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Thank you. Cicero, don't you know? Okay, Miss Tootsie Roll, Miss San Francisco.
Miss Tootsie Roll.
They know, they got the rhyme.
I'm a very proud Texan.
Yes, you are.
And so
am I.
I know you are. And so I'm excited about that as well. I usually am wearing Texas shirts, but I was going to go purple this week. The Barney shows do really well. We started our first one of Purple Rose with Bob West and Jeff Ayers.
Oh, and Jeffy!
So
yeah. It's so weird just how things come around, because my student was like, "Oh, you haven't done it?" And I said, "Baby, if you knew my life, I don't have time to sit down. And when I sit down, I'm eating. In about 12 seconds after that, I'm asleep."
Right.
And so I said, "The TV. I don't watch TV. It watches me." And I said, "So yes, I want to have some time to sit and sort of look, breathe a minute, and go, what's out there in the world?
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on." And so this is lovely. The world has come and said, "Look, I'm gonna get you."
Well,
Jim.
Oh, sure, of course I do.
Jim, I loved him because I was always there early, and he was so gruff. And you'd come in and he'd go, "You in dressing room 3. Got your coffee. I know how you like it. Same color as you." I said, "Perfect. I want it brown like me and no sugar, because you're going to stick your finger in it." I said, "That's right. And you sweet enough." I said, "That's right." He was all that grim demeanor, and I would go, because I was always early, because I wanted to get in and settle and look over stuff. So he knew I was going to be in early. Got your coffee.
So funny. What year did you start?
90. I think my son was born in 95. So I started end of 93 into 94.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was pregnant for half the year. Didn't tell him.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
And I was like, okay. And he was a good baby. He hid in my behind till about month 7. Then he said, "Mama, I got the show now. Okay, I got to stretch a little bit." "Okay, baby. Don't tell nobody Mama pregnant, because Mama got to work, okay? Because I got to feed you." And so even Lisa was like, "Oh, your body's changing." I'm like, "Is it? Really? Okay." So we were coming from Japan. I was coming from Japan, and that kimono, of course, had to be sewn on, because the bow had to be exactly for that, which meant no bathroom. I said, "I know every line. Y'all better get everything right. Okay, one take. We're not gonna be here all day. I haven't told nobody I need some provisions." Okay. So yeah, and it did. It worked out for him. But I was laughing. It was good. She said, "We're just gonna have to sew you in." Okay. You hear that? Okay, get off my bladder. Okay. So just lovely, David. The kids. Everybody. Mr. Rowley, Miss Penny.
Thank you for watching Purple Roads. Phyllis, thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your inspiration. And thank you for your love. Remember to keep your eyes, ears, and your heart open, and you'll find your purple road. And as Stella would say, toodles.